Hey guys, less is more back with another video, and today I was just doing some studying and figured, this is sort of an interesting topic that no one really addresses head on just because it's quite nuanced and it's not exactly difficult to put your finger on. So I figured we could at least discuss it today. We're not going to be able to cover every scenario, but the topic for today's video is when do you have showdown value with ace or king high, and when should you check this back? We're mostly going to be looking at the turn because that's where it gets the most nuanced. Like on the river, it's pretty easy to see whether or not you have any showdown value, but on the turn, you might still have showdown value, but you still see, solvers betting certain combos. So we're just going to take a look at this. So I've been studying for a little while now. I've been on a pretty unpleasant downswing recently, so part of how I deal with that is just put a bit more time in studying. Downswings are never pleasant, and this is slightly off topic, but I had a talk with my coach today, and he said something to me which resonated, which was a big reason downswings are so painful is because we have this expectation of in our mind of how much money we should be making, when in reality, like, poker is a game of variance, and especially if you're a poker pro, you're constantly going to be on a swing of some sort. And so when you have this idea in your head of like, I'm supposed to win X dollars this week, and you lose money, it feels like a massive failure. So I've just been trying to be more vigilant about keeping my head in the right place and like being more aware of how I think of the game and my performance, because it's easy to think that, like, if I go on a downswing, that I'm like playing badly or whatever, which I mean, like, I think I've been playing pretty well this week. I've gotten every single bluff snapped off, and like, I'm not even, I wouldn't call myself like overly aggressive in a lot of spots, but like it's just not worked for me at all, and even in hindsight, I think that most of the bluffs were okay. So it's just part of the game. So if you're kind of going through a downswing or experiencing some variance, just know that whether the variance is good or bad for you at this moment, it's probably not going to be the same way next week. Max, like it'll probably turn tomorrow. So just sort of be aware of that. So with that out of the way, let's hop into the video. Okay, so I'm discussing mostly the checkback lines, because that's where it gets the trickiest. Like, if you're playing a checkback line and you have ace high, it just feels natural to check back most turns with ace high. But you shouldn't always be doing this. So we're gonna look at a few boards and see, which sorts of hands should we be betting. So here's king 8-5, a rainbow. This is a 4-span board. If you haven't seen my videos in the past, all this means is there's 4 ranks of turns in the deck that will complete a straight. So like a 4, 6, 7, and a 9. Or 4, 6, 7, and a 9 would complete a straight on this one. So that's all that means. So we're gonna look into the check line. So check, offsuit deuce. So there's no flush draw here. Now you'll see ace king obviously betting, sometimes checking back. Because if you check back the ace king, you're gonna face a bet more often, and then you can just raise the river. So like if you face a bet, then you can just raise yourself with ace king. Now on the turn, we can just cut out these ace high hands. We see hands like ace 4 and ace 3 starting to bet. You know, those have the gut shot. And then you'll start to see ace queen and ace jack start to bet at a very low frequency for a block size. So in the check line, what you'll see on the turn, especially on very dry turns, is you'll see imposition start to value bet ace high. And so this is one of the few spots you'll see on dry turns where imposition is developing a block range. You'll see on like some very wet cards, imposition will start to block a little bit, but it's not usually substantial, like on flush completing cards or four flush or four straight cards, that sort of thing. But here in the check line, yeah, ace queen and ace jack are starting to value bet a little bit. You can look at the flush draw. And so here ace king still betting. Now here, we see like the ace high that blocks straight draws start to bet. Also, yeah, I mean you just block a lot of continues. Also, when you have the 7 and the 6, you don't get check raise as much when you bet, because if you bet, they're gonna check raise a bunch of these gut shots. But if you have the 7 and the 6, 7 or the 6, you're not gonna get raised as much. Yeah. And then you'll see like these, again, these lower gut shot ace high hands start to stab. Now the main thing on these flush draw turns is, of your offsuit ace-x, you're gonna have to select from the spade combos, like the flush draw blocker combos that block continues. So just be cognizant of that. You'll see like ace queen start to value bet with a spade at a low frequency. Again, like when you have the spade, you block, you're just not going to get raised as much by flush draws. But aside from that, ace high is mostly checking back. Notice like that, even like ace queen of spades, ace jack of spades, ace 10 of spades, mostly checking back. I mean, at the end of the day, like they're very strong draws, but they have showdown value. So like, you're gonna brick everything but 9 rivers. So, I mean, you don't want to like pile money in when there's only one card to come. You can just check back and still like hit a pair and value bet. But yeah, you can start to bet these lower ace-x hands with a gut shot. If we look at like a very dry turn, like a, let's say the 5 of hearts, see like tons of ace high is value betting here. So like most of our range here is going to go into a block size. You'll see a bit of half pot with king queen, the value hand that specifically benefits from a slightly bigger size, but the vast majority is just block. And in the check line on these you know, higher boards, when the turn is like very dry, like this offsuit 5, and it's clear that ace high is quite strong, you can start to develop quite a wide block range in position on the turn. And yeah, I mean you're going to be value betting hands like ace jack of clubs, ace jack of diamonds, a lot of ace queen. And it's mostly just protection betting. I mean, ace jack has over 50% equity here, but it's not enough to like put big bets in. But it's enough, like you're incentivized to protect your. So yeah, and then just make sure you're you know, protecting your range here. Like, see the, well, I mean, you still have all these middling pocket pairs to bet, and then you have, let's see, you have well, you have your 8x, right? So you can start to bluff some of these queen high, king high hands. Okay. Now, what if it checks down? I'm gonna check back most of your ace high. So ace queen with, well, it's not. Oh, I guess there wasn't a flush draw turn, so it wasn't preferential. It's a spade, and we check back. Okay, just checking back mostly. We can start to stab when we have spades. So like, notice the ace queen of spades is stabbing the river. So when you have spades in the check down line, notice that out of position on the turn is going to be bluffing white's two of their flush draws, right? So when you get to the river in the check down line and you have ace queen of spades, you unblock a lot of their pair that didn't stab on the turn. So like, once it checks down, they're going to have tons of marginal made hands. So this is just like a clear value bet on the river. Yeah, because like when you have spades, yeah, they're just gonna have bunches of air and marginal hands that, you know, chose not to bluff or bet the turn. You can start to value bet with the ace of spades, queen of diamond. Okay, that's sort of interesting. But really, the main thing with the ace queen of spades is, like, most of the ace high that out of position gets to the river with here is, I mean, this sort of just piggybacks on what I said, but like most of the ace high that out of position gets to the river with here is just like a bunch of non-spade combos. So like when you have ace queen of spades, you just unblock those calls. There's like the other ace x, or like the other ace queen, you know, block some of those ace high calls. Okay, let's look at a different. Let's look at 10-5-2 rainbow. So check, dry turn. Sort of what we expected to happen. 10-5-2-2 rainbow. Ace high's value betting. Similar thing. Now what about an overcard? Yeah, so ace queen of diamonds with the combo draw starting to bet. Ace queen off with a flush draw blocker starting to bet. Notice this is an overbet size. So this is one of those showdown value bluffs that I've talked about in the past. Like if you 2x a hand like ace queen of diamonds, you can look at the calling range. So the flush draws are going to be, let's see, just take a look. Yeah, so it's going to be a lot of queen high, jack high combos of flush draws. And the issue is, if we're so polar that, like, if our 2x range is so polar that either we have a garbage hand like 4 high or 7 high or something with 0 showdown value, or like quite a strong hand like an overpair or like aces or you know, ace 10 or something that, or the king turn, so like king 10 or a set or something. If our range is divided exactly like that, then it's pretty easy as the out of position player to ball with a hand like like ace 7 of diamonds, queen jack of diamonds, 6-4 of diamonds. 6-4 of diamonds is a combo draw, but yeah, like high card flush draw hands, if the imposition 2x range is divided exactly like that, like exactly polar, it's quite easy to call those hands, because if you hit a pair on the river, you'll quite often be good. So now, like, some of these hands have incentive to raise as opposed to call, like queen 7 of diamonds, 4-3 of diamonds, 6-3 of diamonds, 8-7 of diamonds. They can't just check call, because like even if they hit an 8 or a 7 or a pair per se, that's not going to be any good. So just makes those hands closer to indifferent. So yeah. So yeah, on that flush draw turn, you'll start to see some ace high with a flush draw start to bluff. But on this overcard in the check line, your delay c betting range is going to be pretty polar. I know I haven't put a video out on this specifically, but like on these lower boards, when the king or an ace comes, like your imposition, like the imposition's delayed c betting range is going to be pretty polar to like top pair plus. Yeah, so like on a, let's see, on like a 9. A 9 flush draw, so yeah, you're checking most of your ace high. You can value bet a little bit of ace queen of clubs, but this is like a more connected card, so just not really as much incentive to you know, bluff those hands. I still think bluffing some ace high makes some sense. Just to, you know, make some of those gut shots indifferent. If you bet, yeah, I mean, ace 7 is, you know, gonna have a tough time. If you don't bluff any ace high, it's a little bit easier for ace 7 to continue as a call. Like a 6. Yep. So pretty dry turn. You're not going to see as much blocking on this turn, because it is like the out-of-position player is going to make a lot of pairs on this turn for sure. So it's mostly going to be half pot, and then like some bigger bets with 10x that delay to the turn. King 10-3. Yeah, Yeah, so check, check, brick 2, check. Specifically. Yeah, so the combo draws here at the top of the range are betting, and then like a little bit of ace queen off with a spade, and then yeah, these lower ace high flush draws. A little bit of ace 5 off with the spade. Yeah, okay. This is a wheel turn, so like ace 4 and ace 5 have a gut shot as well. When you have the spade, not only can you block continues, but you can also bluff flush rivers. Imagine if you 2x and then fold in the rivers. Spade. Hands like, yeah, ace 7, ace 6, ace 5 with a spade. All these hands can go most of the time. I mean, after you 2x and get called, you don't, like, ace high doesn't have showdown value. But, yeah, you're, so like on this turn, you're not, it's not that your ace high doesn't have showdown value, it's just, like a lot of this is just the showdown value of concept. And ace 4 just has tons of equity with the gut shot and the overcard. Also, these hands, the one thing about the wheel turns and bluffing ace high is you unblock tons of folds. So if you 2x, you unblock like this entire, like when you have ace 4, you unblock like this entire folding region. Whereas if you had like queen 4, like queen high is a huge proportion of the folding range, along with jack high. So yeah, it's not too favorable. But like on this king 10-3-2 board, stuff that doesn't connect with this board at all is going to be what out of position is giving up with on the turn, and then just check folding. So unblocking this middling region is going to be pretty important. Like if you have ace 7, it's not so ideal. Say like a pairing turn, double flush draw. So yeah, you're gonna start to see a lot of ace x start to bluff. Yeah, I mean the wetter the texture, the one thing I'm noticing is that like the wetter the texture, the more these ace highs are gonna bet. And it's not always so cut and dry as what's a bluff or not. Let's see, like ace 4 of clubs is betting here on the turn. If we bet and get called, rivers at brick. Like these ace high are just checking back, like you would expect to see from most showdown value bluffs. You will win sometimes against bricked hands. So yeah, it's just a way to force out of position to indifference with, some marginal holdings that are trying to outdraw you. Notice, like, out of position will be floating a bunch of queen high with a flush draw. So yeah, again, if you're not bluffing any ace high, it's pretty easy for a hand like queen 8 with a flush draw to continue. Because then, like, especially on a board like this where you're gonna have tons of bluffs, like in this middling part of the range that don't interact with this board at all, like their pair outs are gonna be quite live. And well, I mean, the queen high will be live. Versus the half pot bet, pair outs are almost always live. like a flush completing card. Yeah, this offsuit ace-x will be betting with a flush blocker to check back the river, I would imagine. So a hand like ace-8 bets. Fold, turns or river's a brick. Yeah, we're mostly checking back these hands that game. Okay. Yeah, it looks like you can bluff some offsuit ace-x with a spade, but it's not too necessary. So on an ace turn, yeah, I mean, no high card hands have showdown value on this board. If you chill on the other turn, like ace high had like 50% equity or whatever, and here queen high just has like 20%. So we'll get one more. Just 3. We can take a look at some king high here. So remember, imposition should be checking back this board a lot. I don't know if I ever addressed why specifically there's so many checkbacks on this board, but if we take a look at the out of position range, like tons of gut shots and flush draws. Out of position is not going to have much trouble defending on this board. Whereas a board like ace 7-3, out of positions, or ace 8-3, even better example. In position, small betting, just going to perform so much better. Like out of position isn't going to have like the straight draws to defend with, aside from the wheel draws. So brick, back. So again, on this brick, we see some king high start to bet. See like the combo draws start to size up a little bit, but and the king 2 value bets. Yeah, so a hand like when you start to stab these, I mean like the jack high with no showdown value, you should really be thinking about the folding range. So like if you stab what's going to fold, it's going to be a lot of this region right here in the middle of the board. The king high and the gut shots and the 6x and the deuce x are not going to be what's folding. So like even though hands like jack 9, 10 9, 10 8 seem like like they don't have showdown value, so it just feels natural to like try to stab, but you have to try it with caution because they just block so much of the folding range. They're not so ideal, so just put a little bit of extra thought into that. Like you'd much rather bluff a hand like jack 5 and jack 4. Obviously they have the gut shot, so that make like you can outdraw your opponent's calling range, regardless of how strong their calling range is, but it unblocks more of the folding range than a hand, say like jack 10 or jack 9. Remember, the folding range is just this middling range. But yeah, you see like a little bit of betting with the king queen off with the spade. use of spades. Yeah, not really much going on with the king high. We still start to see this, like you still do see this thing where most of the queen high is checking, and as the kicker gets lower, you'll start to see it stab more, since like the bigger the space between the queen and the kicker, the better to stab, because you unblock more of this middling fold. Then on this ace turn, I would imagine you can start to value bet some king high. Yep, so yeah, king queen off with a spade, king jack off with a spade, high frequency value bets. So yeah, like queen 4 and queen 5 are pretty high frequency bluffs. And once you start to get up here, again, same thing. Interesting. Okay, well, that's, I just wanted to give a brief synopsis of that. Just because you have ace high on the turn doesn't mean you should just snap check back, right, and save a river. But this is quite a nuanced spot. I know I didn't cover everything, and I didn't plan on it, but look into these spots yourself. You'll find some interesting stuff. I don't remember the last time. Well, I can tell you for a fact, in my entire poker career, no one has ever blocked for a value bet with ace high on the turn in a single raise spot. That is, like, no one does that. So I think it's a pretty good weapon to have in your arsenal, because like it makes my job quite easy, especially when I'm playing heads up no limit. Like players just refuse to stab hands on the turn that have some level of showdown value. So like when they bet, they're just very polar. So you can make calls that look quite speculative. Like there's tons of hands you can like float on them. You can just do tons of floating on the turn with like queen high or whatever, because if they're betting, they either have a pair or better or 8 high. And so when that's the case, it makes your job quite easy. Then you just have to pick like the queen high, king high hands that unblock the most bluffs, and then it just makes your life easy. So start to put these regs in some tough spots with this thin value betting on the turn. That's all. If you want information about private coaching or Zenith, add me on Discord. I'll put my details in the video description. And make sure to smash like and hit that subscribe button.